Okay. Yeah, so thanks. By the way, yeah, I also wanted to mention that I would say maybe Peter is a great, one of the great reasons why I'm here, because, we met during my maybe the first master's classes at the industrial design department. And I would really say that, you kind of like opened the first door to think differently. So that was
So
really good.
we keep on patting each other.
Yeah, no, really,
Thank
that's
you for
good.
the compliment.
Yes.
That's great. So we have obviously quite an open format here. There's some questions which just to get things moving, and we'd be more than happy to have questions interjected from the audience. The idea is to have a kind of informal discussion and have some kind of more profound insights, because I think Maija is a bit tired of just talking about the kind of story, even though you're very proud of it. But there's maybe more underlying it that would be also interesting. So just starting off the aspect of your industrial design background or education, how has that impacted on your career as an entrepreneur? And is there something specific that you, as an industrial designer or industrial designers or designers, bring to entrepreneurial practices which are complementary or even distinct from other disciplinary perspectives?
Yeah. Okay, this is really, really loud. Could you put my... Yeah, okay. Thanks. So I definitely think that industrial design especially is a very, very good starting point for being an entrepreneur. So kind of like this whole mindset of design thinking, that's truly what the startup entrepreneurship is about. So trying to understand the core values and try the empathy and all these tools to really create something that would make sense and would matter. So in a way, I actually think that that's kind of like a perfect match. And I have to say that I have been wondering why not more of the designers are actually entrepreneurs in that sense. I mean, of course, there are many designers who are entrepreneurs because they might have their own agencies or they kind of like might be self-employed or that kind of stuff. But to really start with very idea-focused new companies, new enterprises. So in a way, I think all of the evidences that we've got also from not just from here, but also abroad. Like if you think like in the States, we have companies like Airbnb and Apple was really design centric. There are like many of these like really, really great ideas that are basically just formed with the design thinking that definitely I would say that for me at least is a core thing. And it's quite funny because I think in many cases I have learned that the designers, at least in the past, they tend to think that entrepreneurship is something about money. That, like if you want to have your own company, it means that you're very greedy or you're a very like money-oriented person. And that's not kind of like what the designers want to do. So, on the other hand, the designers are very passion-focused and like, I want to do my thing and my thing matters and I would go through the gray stone because of my idea, my thing. So like to actually understand that, but that is called entrepreneurship. That would be the main thing. And actually, I would say that that's one of the things that I've been trying to always say to the students when I have the chance to talk to them, that please see the entrepreneurial potential inside of you and like recognize that the thing, how much you really care about your project and your concepts, that is entrepreneurship.
Yes. I mean, we were discussing a while ago about thinking of the Nobel Prize being given a few days ago. And I think a lot of those laureates, are extremely entrepreneurial. Because how to be as successful in a world which is super competitive. And it would be actually interesting to analyze, what is the mindset and skill set and capabilities that actually even Nobel laureates have, not just, business oriented or directly business oriented. How about design thinking and how that relates to kind of entrepreneurial practice, where there's the similarities, where there's difference?
Well, I think it's kind of like that if you think that you might see like design as something that you buy from an agency, that there is somebody who is providing you these insights and this understanding of something. in a big corporation, that somebody is buying a service from a design agency and then that's given. In a way, the entrepreneurship it means that you have to be able to actually control and do that by yourself, to really have this holistic understanding of your case. So of course design thinking is not the whole thing, then in addition you really need to understand whether you're going to make a good business case. But in a way it's like the design thinking is a very wide area that you can also like include many different aspects. That for example, if we think that I would have a superior case where I'm really answering to the core needs and I'm revealing something latent and that's bringing like a truly great value, and it's not a business case. Well, apparently then it wouldn't bring the value, because if there's no business, then this thing wouldn't come to reality. So that's really kind of like making sure that this really also would happen in the real life. That is what entrepreneurship is about.
Great. Is there any question from the audience at this point about design thinking or how that relates to other forms of thinking? Are you all happy with the term?
But I mean, I would really say to everybody that if you are designers, just try to understand the entrepreneurship, what that entrepreneurship is, what you really feel the burning need of doing something, and you feel the fire inside. That's really what is entrepreneurship. And at the same time, if you're not a designer, try to make sure that you would have designers in the team in the very early phase. It's going to be really, really difficult. Even like after 1 year that you have been already running something, and you wouldn't have this designer mindset in the team, that's already quite difficult. So try to make sure that as early as possible you would have designers in the team.
We might have a nice discussion with the Catchbox to discuss when you have a designer in the team also from pretty much the beginning. So there's this going into the kind of food. I mean, obviously the kind of electronic space and the kind of idea has changed very radically into a kind of whole new space of food. So what do you think and how design relates to food? Because other people think, what is a designer doing with food?
Yeah, exactly. I actually think this is something that has happened really, really quickly. That suddenly, I mean, in the early days, not early, like just recently the case was that somebody either has a food product that has been there forever, maybe some improvements for that, but it's been there forever because it is whatever was the background, or that there is somebody on the lab like creating something, and then it's somehow like the concept is finalized and it's ready, and only then the designer comes to the question. So the designer comes when you need to really find a nice package or find a nice way of kind of like displaying the product, or taking care of the how is it presented in the shelves, and like final touch, the names and brands and that kind of stuff. But I really don't think that design is different to any other product out there. I mean, any other product you would also need to have design from the very, very early stage, and really like from the functionality and like trying to understand the user needs. So really this design thinking is even more important in the food products today. And to me, really, especially in the food products, it means that you would need to understand where people are today, how do they see the world, and what are the key motivations, what are the possible problems, and what do they care about, and can they even state it aloud, like would they want, and what are they suffering from? Are they compromising with something, or like what are the daily life situations that they're going through? Also, what are the long-term impacts of their choices? So, like trying to understand that, and definitely this doesn't mean that you would go and ask them what do you want, or do you like this or something, because that is definitely not giving the right answer. It's more like trying to understand, like in the empathic way, what they're going through, and then really having your own creativity and the vision of the better way, of vision of the better future. What could be possible? That's really like the core question of the design thinking, what could be possible. And then also the toolbox is really, really important, that especially the prototyping and the kind of like different demonstrations and just taking those small steps to try to understand if that would work or am I at all in the right direction. So these are like the core things, and I essentially think that the meaning of the design is about bringing real value. And at least I personally believe that, understanding it and having a vision, those are the key things for bringing real value.
I had a look at your presentation at Slush recently, and I think there was some really, profound insights, which I think were very crystal clear, and you could understand the particular influence. A question regarding the kind of founding insight: where did the idea or the insight come from that kind of motivated you to kind of pursue this kind of startup? I had read somewhere that you were
like
on
you
a
mean
flight.
in the pulled oats case.
Yes. Yes, sorry. So I heard that you were on a flight and reading New York Times and something. Could you?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's not just like that's maybe the snapshot, like what happened. I'm reading the newspaper and reading the article 10 times and just trying to understand what do they mean with this and why do they want this. Anyways, the article was called "Fake Meats Finally Taste Like Chicken." So that was the title, the headline. I just started to think that, why is it like this, and could it be possible to actually do this in a better way? And of course, there were things that were affecting on my thinking. Of course, I mean, we all have our background stories, and so definitely it was not just like, me in a little bubble in an empty space. Of course, I had my history. So I would think definitely like three things. First of all, I had been working 2 years as a brand head in this company who acquired my previous company. So I had been working in a corporation for 2 years, and I was like, I really felt that I need to start doing something because, in that kind of job, it's often so that you just have this flag of something, that you're just an ambassador of the brand thinking, and that's maybe it. And, like, when can I actually start doing it, instead of just preaching about it? So I would say kind of like a frustration in a way that I wanted to control my own destiny more. So in a way, like, I had already tuned my brain into something that maybe I could still do something. Of course, I wasn't sure about that. But anyways, that was one. And then the second thing was that I have actually been a vegetarian for all of my life, so I'm kind of like a native vegetarian. So when I was a kid, I refused to eat meat. I really don't know why. It wasn't anything about the animals or something. It was just that I didn't want to eat meat. I just didn't like it. So kind of like I knew this segment very well. It was like palm of my hand that whatever is new in there, I'm quite familiar with that. So in a way, it felt like I'm in a safe ground, and at the same time, this kind of like recent days discussions about oats, because I have been kind of like an ambassador for oats for quite some time. I really like this material of oats, and I really feel that like when people are starting to understand the consequences of eating too much wheat, and wheat is really not very good nutritionally. The oat is kind of like coming to like replacing that in a way. So yeah, I have been kind of like passionate about oats, and I think that the discussion that I had just like a couple of days back, that I was tweeting that at least a good thing in the traveling in the US is that these days you get the oatmeal in every coolest pool bar. You always get the oatmeal, So that was kind of like my insight that, hey, the world is going to be better because of the oatmeal. So this friend of mine who happened to be she's a very advanced oat researcher. So she was actually replying that, like, look, guys, if Maija Itkonen is saying that, oh, it is really great, you have to believe in this. That, like, even she says, it's kind of like a confirmation that, hey, we should do more with oats. But of course, she had been only in the kind of like insiders circles, with the oat researchers, that they only do the muesli and the bread and the porridge, and, so it's really like only around these. So in a way, I think, yeah, it was kind of like some kind of result of the past happenings.
So a lot of synergy from different directions.
Yeah, exactly. And of course time, because I mean, I think airplanes are really great for inspiration, because like they say that staring on the wall is much more inspiring for the brain than, like, for example, seeing videos on something on a screen. So because you just need to be there. I actually never watch any videos or do anything with the screen at the airplanes because I really want to spare that time for my own thoughts.
It paid off quite nicely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's something what I decided quite a long time ago.
So you could say that the insight was a kind of series of insights, one being the coincidence that you happened to be on the flight reading this particular article.
Of course.
The fact that you have this kind of interest in kind of, certain dietary interests. The frustration aspect, obviously your company was partly founded on frustration, so you try to find a way around that. Obviously, maybe Airbnb was desperation and then kind of came other things. The connection to your co-founder, how did that really happen? She just happened to be a friend, and then what happened? How did that kind of uncover?
Yeah, I mean, we had known each other for very, very long time, like 20 years. So that was like, in a way, like, I mean, when you're really good friends with somebody, you can totally trust that, it was like not a question of like, what she would think, that or like how would she react. I was just totally sure that, she can do the job, and like, because I knew her so well, and I knew that she's really like very, very smart and very, very intelligent, very capable, and also very active. So it was more like, how to sell it to her.
How did you sell it to her?
Oh, it took a long time. I mean, like any scientist, she was always. I was calling her straight away from the airport. I was calling her like, look, I got this marvelous idea. We have to do this together. And she was just like, coming from a meeting to another meeting. Like, I'll give you 5 minutes, and then she was smashing the idea totally, saying like, it would never happen, and you're just a crazy woman. It's too difficult. This material doesn't behave like that. You just don't know the basics, and like all the scientists, you just have to be like that. You have to be very negative because, if you can't control it by yourself, you can't give any positive feedback on it. So it actually took quite some time, and like mainly I would say it took until she actually got some time for herself, and she really got the time to go to the lab and start experimenting and doing things and start really to thinking by herself. So after that was done, then she was really into it.
Great. So, and that took how long?
It took at least half a year.
Okay. So you have to be patient and persistent.
But it's about selling. Entrepreneurship, it's always about selling. So, I mean, actually, I think this is also very good because, we as designers, we're very, very, we're very used to selling things. Like from the first possible occasion you have at the university, you always have to sell your ideas to your colleagues and your classmates, and they're like, no way, this and that, and do this and that. So, it's always about selling.
Yeah. The any question at this point? Somebody like to, please.
Okay. You said that like design should bring value. That's the main point of it. Yes.
Not design should bring value. It's more like you need to find the value, and the design is, in a way, like the designer's toolbox is meant to prepare you for searching the real value.
Okay, I just mean like opposite to what, because I know that design always should bring value.
Sorry?
You mean design should bring value as opposite to which idea? Because I was growing in Aalto that everything is about values, that if you do design by definition it grows well. It should bring value as any other functions.
Yeah, but the old way of seeing these things is that, you have the engineers. First of all, you have the board who is deciding, okay, we will do this and we will do that, and this is our company and this is what we do. And then you have engineers who are developing a product, and they're creating something really, really nice and something very clever. And then they throw it to the designer who is supposed to somehow make a final fix and just make it more aesthetical or something. And then once that is done, then it's sent to the marketing department who is supposed to start thinking about how to sell it. So that's kind of like the design comes into question very late.
One question about this protein in oats. How did you come up with the idea that it could be extracted like in scale and so on?
Oh, I didn't know it. I mean, I definitely didn't know it. I was just thinking about it. That was maybe this discussion that we have had previously, so that like, why is the note so good? Well, it's because of, if you really don't know the topic, you're just trying to get some evidence, like, oh yeah, it has this beta glucan, it has lots of protein. Does it have lots of protein? So, that's almost like that. So anyways, I was just thinking about that if the oat protein could be utilized in that way, then that could be good. But I really didn't know if oat protein could be utilized. I mean, I really didn't know any of the, I didn't even have the internet connection when I was thinking about this idea. So I wasn't capable of doing any search.
Were you sort of certain that there is something there? So did you have sort of a hunch that I should go after this?
Yeah, I mean, I was totally sure that this is going to be the greatest idea ever. So I was really like, that's a lovely but it's a lovely moment.
Absolutely.
I think everybody knows that, like, you're kind of like, you just let yourself go into it, like, because nobody's asking you to do anything else. You're just like, yeah, let's spend some time with this. And even though you know that the reality might kick back very soon, that maybe it's all a lie, but it just feels so good to get this feeling that, hey, this is a great idea. So I was just drawing all the drafts and making plans and whatever. So yeah, I was sure that it's a great idea, and mainly because of oats. I was thinking that was kind of the main thought, that because oats is like so much better than any of these artificial ingredients that these guys who made the fake chicken that what they were using. So I was really just thinking about that, the popularity of the meat replacements or meat alternatives would grow if people would actually connect it with something that feels good and feels natural. So that was kind of like the basic thought.
I think there was another.
Yeah, just briefly. Hi, I'm also a designer myself, and I'm just super interested in this whole kind of the development process of the product and oats. How long did that actually take you, and like what was your role actually in that? Because like you had this oats scientist, and were you just like looking over her shoulder and going like, just do it again?
Hurry!
I think we are going to that also later, but like, okay, maybe it doesn't matter. So I mean, then when we decided, okay, we will look into this field, we actually went to different places. So my colleague went to China to see some of the machinery, to test and try the different technology. So we were actually thinking that the technology that is normally used for handling soy actually could be something that we could use in this. And of course the main effect in this was that she actually found a third co-founder, a Chinese guy who had been working with her in the university. So that was kind of like, to look into the what could be the product like, and like how could it be possibly manufactured. So that was like one thing. And then at the same time I went to LA, I went back to the States to actually participate some big events to see what's really going on in this field, and I really wanted to see what's the top state of the art, what are the best startups in the field doing, and I really wanted to meet persons who are behind them and so on. So really I wanted to kind of see what is the field, the food startups, what are they doing and what are they like and what should we be like, and then we were thinking different things like what should be the product like, and what should be the ingredient list, and what should be the nutritional values, and actually it's funny because many people say you really didn't do much marketing in this thing, but actually I would say that the main marketing what we did was actually that we were thinking about that we want to have these ingredients and these values and at least this and at least that, and that it shouldn't be too rubbery as the consistence, and it shouldn't be too mushy, too soft, and kind of like where to find the perfect medium. So we had these things, and really we were also thinking about this, developing the concept of the perfect protein, that the perfect protein is something that is like you really wouldn't need to make the compromises, because we all know that there is this kind of like the common way of thinking that oh, there is nothing you could really eat these days because this is bad for the planet and this is bad for the animals and this comes to rainforest and this is too expensive and this takes too long to prepare and this is this and that and that. So all of them have like something wrong, or if they don't have something wrong, then they just taste very bad. So like
Or a mix, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I was kind of like we developed this kind of like this concept of like, first it was the perfect plant protein that we were thinking about, that what could be the perfect plant protein that is actually like making it possible for people to actually make no compromises. Yeah, and of course this whole idea of perfect protein, it comes from the in the food science, you call perfect protein something that has the perfect amino acid profile. But we wanted to extend the idea so that it also covers not only the nutrition, but also the taste, the user interface, kind of like accessibility, and the ecological viewpoints and so on. Then actually, I think this was one of the great aha moments when we realized that we don't even have to call it perfect plant protein because the animal proteins cannot be perfect because they are not sustainable, that the perfect protein can be only something that is ecologically produced, i.e. something plant-based. So that was kind of like, I would say that that's the core of the design thinking in this process.
Right, because that's what you also presented at Slush.
Yeah.
Kind of 3 mega trends which we're kind of arguing for why this is so good.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, definitely. And yeah, actually I would say that like about these mega trends, this is more like, of course we were thinking about the mega trends, but in a way it's also something what we realized like just quite soon after it was done, that okay, we are actually going so deeply into the mega trends that we have this like a plant-based diet trend. And at the same time, we have the protein boom. So they are really like, if you think about it, you want to really, really emphasize the meaning of the protein, and then you can't eat animals. Well, like, it is essentially quite difficult. Actually, I would say it's quite simple. I'm wondering like, why didn't more of the companies like touch to this crucial point?
It's very often in retrospect. When somebody does it, it's so obvious, but beforehand, it's not so obvious.
Yeah,
it's almost anything. That's really exactly. Sometimes wonderful, or even paradigm shifting. Any other question?
Well, if you want to go forward, how did the PR, you got it very early stage, and I remember I think it was in Talouselämä or somewhere the first news story. So how did that happen, and why it's happened so early? Yeah,
that's also a very good question. In a way, I would think that it's also it's following many small things maybe, but when we got started with this whole thing, I already got some interest from some journalists. So I was meeting the Talouselämä journalists and some others in a party like already like quite some time before we actually got into public. So they were just like very interested, and they were asking like, what are you doing these days, and like, do you have something new cooking, and like, what's going on? And then I said, okay, I promise that you'll be the first one to know. So in a way, of course, I think that maybe that was also like unconsciously I was kind of like like putting the hook already there, that okay, there's something to wait for. So when the time came and I called this journalist again, like, okay, now we have published our, we have filed a patent. So now we would be ready to get out. So she was immediately there, like, definitely I want to write about you. So that was like the first media stories kind of like came because they basically wanted to know what I'm doing nowadays. So that was the first thing. But on that time we actually didn't have even any name for the product or something. So it was basically just the news was that now Maija is developing something food related. So that was basically the story. And then the following was actually quite funny because we actually only wanted to do some user tests. So it was basically so that we just wanted to follow, this kind of like user-centric method that you need to really try and test in real context. You can't just do something in a lab and then say, ta-da-da-da, now it's ready, and you go to launch it. So we actually wanted to test it also we tested in people's homes and so on, and then we realized, okay, we have to also do some tests at the real context, i.e. make them to pay for the product, because it's also like, when you have to pay for something, it's very different. And then we actually called some supermarket owners to say, like, could we test something? It's a very new product, and would you be interested in testing it? So of course we had picked some shops that were already like selected, that they are very, very advanced and very kind of like forward thinking. And then people got quite excited about it. So it was kind of like the viral effect that started from there, especially the vegan consumers who really picked it very intensively. So yeah, I think it was more like, suddenly, because the consumers were so excited, suddenly it was something that every journalist had to write about. So it was almost like a must. Like we got like really almost every newspaper and every magazine from Finland to write about this.
That's incredible.
Exactly, but I mean, I don't actually think that you can order something like this. I mean, you cannot really do it, or you cannot really say that, okay, I'm planning something like this to happen. So it's really organic and it's viral.
So the name Golden Green, where did that name come from? Like, what was the inspiration for that, and what other names did you consider?
We actually, the company was first called Oat Kitchen.
Oat Kitchen, okay.
So that was in a way like in the beginning, I was just that was more like thinking about something that comes like very like something warm and something nice and approachable. But then we realized, okay, we don't want to call it Oat Kitchen because that's not quite. It started to sound like a catering company or something. So. This Golden Green, the name comes from the golden oat fields and the green gardens, the green bean gardens. So that's kind of like the perfect protein, because the perfect protein comes from the unique combination of oats and beans. So you wouldn't have this, like the perfect amino acid balance without combining these two plants. So that was kind of like the idea. And then at the same time, we were kind of like thinking that is like something that is valuable. The gold is kind of like presenting something that is this like valuable and something like almost luxury, and then green is something that is more like ethical and kind of like doing good side. So yeah, that was in a way the thinking behind this. But there was time when of course we were thinking about many names, and I think one of the best ideas was the unicorn meat. That we would call it unicorn meat. Like who cares what is it?
That's wonderful.
Exactly. Just eat a unicorn. Yeah.
I think the term pulled oats is absolutely fantastic. And you reckon that should be the year would be called 2016 will be the year of pulled oats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was so funny. Exactly. I actually think that nobody would have guessed that. So I mean, people who have been somehow involved in it's like, whoa, it's totally amazing. Mm-hmm. And exactly. At the president's Independence Day party, somebody was tweeting that, in the old days they were always asking like, what does independence mean to you? But now they only ask, what does pulled oats mean to you? I was like, yeah, it's really funny. But at the same time, we really didn't plan for the name either. So that was quite organically born. So we were using it somewhere as kind of like explanatory support, like, golden green. We were actually thinking in the beginning that would be kind of like Coca-Cola, that is the golden green. Mm-hmm. And then we were just using the nyhtökaura as something that, hey, come on, it's kind of like nyhtökaura. Like, if you know what is nyhtöpossu, like pulled pork, then you would know what is this. And then it took like, it took like an amazing speed. So people really picked this name so quickly. So there was absolutely nothing to do for that anymore. So I would say that consumers really selected the name.
So you protected the trademark?
Yeah. We did, and also the pulled oats. And I have to say, like, I'm very happy for the registration of the pulled oats, because if you think like like in the international scale, like rolled oats we already have, which is like, you know, something that is a very, very, very well-known material. So if we could have the pulled oats, which is like, in a way, it feels like very natural as a word. But it's like, yeah, I think it sounds big.
So you've actually, this is the kind of first version of your
This
packaging.
is the first version, yes.
And so why did you change it from that to the current version? What was the motivation?
Yeah, exactly. So we wanted to have a little bit more body in it. So that was kind of like, I would say the first one was a little bit too, it was first of all done very quickly. And also the golden green was there in the middle because we didn't know that it was called nyhtökaura pulled oats. So, yeah, I think actually in the beginning we called it, we just wrote in the pulled and shredded. So this it was kind of like a description of what is the product like. And only 10 came to pulled oats. So, but yeah, this is more like a little bit more yeah, like not so light and not so transparent. That it's a little bit more stronger. And also we wanted to have these colors a little bit better, like easier to recognize because they were quite light in the earlier version. So we wanted to have this background color, but we wanted to still keep the idea of the watercolor because the watercolor kind of like brings this kind of like the aesthetical handcraft feeling that we wanted to have certain kind of elegance in it. And if you think that this really reminds you of more like, you know, products like beverages and teas and yogurts maybe. So this is exactly what we wanted to be because it's really there next to the minced meat, and these packages are really brutal. And you know, like in most cases, they are just like minced meat, 400 grams, like, you know, take it. So they're really not meant to be beautiful. So we thought that, you know, it's because we were in such a big hurry all the time, you know, we really didn't have any time for anything. So we were just, you know, like going forward with almost like every time we just took the first feeling and then went with that. So basically the thing was that we wanted to keep something that feels like it's ours, you know, that is like has this certain feminine style and something that is elegant and beautiful and stylish and a little bit more reminding you of the women's magazine than something that is like cool and rough and urban street culture or confrontational. You know, we wanted to be quite elegant.
Yeah, it's quite sophisticated if I look
Yeah.
at the kind of combination of the kind of watercolor and the etching
Yeah, exactly.
imagery below.
Yeah.
I also like the idea where the kind of the different packages, the kind of the cloud changes. When it changes color, it also changes. It's not the same image.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm changing the brand definitely. I mean, because, you know, now I really have this chance to actually start building an international brand.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely, the brand is going to change again.
Right.
So anyways, I mean, I think that you have to just take, I always used to say that, you know, take the today's best knowledge. You know, you just take what is best today and then go with that. Because if you start thinking about I don't have it, then you just can't do anything. But at the same time, you have to be ready to sacrifice and ready to just, you know, like replace it with something that is better.
Great.
Yeah.
Some question from please.
So how do you see the future, like a long-term future in 10, 20 years? Do you want to make some more products, some more protein?
Did you say 20 years? Maybe 20 months would be the better question. It's been changing so much that honestly I would say I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, of course, for the next 20 months I would say yeah, definitely we're doing more products and more things, but honestly, it's been happening. Everything has been happening so quickly that I hardly recognize the company when I see it again. Like, you know, it's just like, you know, when I look at it like now and then after 2 months, it's like everything is totally changed. Like just 6 months ago, we got a great office that we felt that this is the perfect office and we're going to stay here for a long time because it's the most lovely office ever. And now it's already after 6 months, it's like we have to get out of there because we can't fit in there anymore.
Great.
So that's how it happens. And sometimes it feels like, you know, you just have to tolerate this kind of feeling that, oh, you can't control it. It just goes like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, there's quite many questions now. We can open up.
Yeah, since you mentioned that it went very fast, I just wanted to ask, since you had a company before, and did it feel like it before as well, or was it the first time that everything went fast because you followed your passion in some way?
Oh, the first company was fast as well, definitely. But it was just so much kind of like harder to get the technology, because the technology was more complex, I would say. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of actually, I think it was crucial because I was kind of like prepared for that, because there was some kind of like hype for the first company as well. You know, something that almost everybody knew about, and there was something great happening, and I was used to talking to the journalists and things like that. So, but this was very different. Yeah.
But possibly you could move so fast because you had the prior experience.
Maybe, exactly. I mean, it was also that, like when the journalist started to call us, and he was like, what's going on? We are just in the lab, like, don't come here. So my co-founders were like, why are you talking to a journalist? Stop talking to them. Like, it's late. It comes later. Once we are ready, we will contact them again. I was like, I really don't know, but I just get this feeling that I have to go with them now. I mean, if we just don't, like very bad things might happen.
Yeah. I think it was good. Sorry, there was.
I had a question about the pricing strategy. How do you put the price on the market?
Yeah, this is also, I would say this is something that we really didn't have much control on, because it happened so quickly. But basically what we were doing was that we were, first of all, that was kind of like one of the first criteria of the perfect protein, that it cannot be too expensive. Because if it's expensive, or, like, come on, people would have money to put like €2 more. Of course they would have the money. That's not the question. But it's more like, if you get the feeling that, oh yeah, this is the luxury thing that doesn't really like it's too premium for me, or it's too weird, or it's too like exclusive, then it just wouldn't be like that's again another thing that you would need to compromise. So kind of like for the accessibility, I think that the pricing was the first thing that we wanted to make sure that it's not more expensive than some of the normal products that is out there. Of course, it doesn't need to be like the same, like as cheap as the cheapest minced meat, but like somehow like at certain level, like whatever it is, like maybe the organic meat or something that is like widely bought. But then, of course, we were doing certain calculations and understanding, like, would this make a business or not? So definitely we also wanted to make sure before we actually start to sell any products that we know what is the pricing behind. But then, of course, when it went to the shops, I think actually it was a big surprise for many consumers that it actually is not more expensive. That was kind of like also in the trials, that was like a very positive surprise. And like, that was also like one story in the stream of the viral phenomena. I think that was actually one of the stories that, hey, I realized that the pulled oats is not more expensive. It's not more expensive, so it's like, that was kind of like a nice side story. And regarding the customers, we actually just decided that we won't negotiate with the prices. We just put it like certain level that is not too high, and then we just give the same price to everybody. So that was one of the key strategies.
Please.
Hello, Maija. I have a question related to the production. You mentioned during Slash that, the project was so successful, you had such a huge demand that unfortunately you couldn't put up with the demand. What were the key learnings out of these first ramp up, and what are your strategies in the future?
Yeah, I mean, this was really one of the craziest experiences ever, because the demand started to be very, very high. And then we were like, we really don't know what to do, because we didn't have any clue on how to produce this product. So we were just, putting together like 100 boxes in the R&D with this size of packaging machine that you just need to. So it's really, really like really small batches. And then yeah, we it was good that we had a board that was very supportive, because in many cases I think that it would have been the case that, because the board is really in most cases they're supporting the founders. They're kind of like being the sounding board. What do you think about this? Like, does this make sense? So they were very, very like they were really supportive to say that no, we have to build a production. I mean, that's the only way. And they were also like giving us the confidence that, okay, yeah, we have to do this. And there was one key machine from China that we knew by that already that we are going to need. So then we ordered the machine, and it was really, really crazy, because we got the machine just somewhere coming, and we really didn't have any idea where could be the location, because we were trying to find a good premises, and we just couldn't find anything. So then finally we found the factory. And again, it was just the same thing that, it was just 6 months ago, and like in the 1st of March we got the keys for the factory. It was an empty hall, 2,000 square meters. We actually tried to only rent the half of that, because we thought that is so much, like so big. It's so much too big. And then yeah, quite soon we realized, okay, maybe we should take the whole still, because it's growing anyways. And then yeah, by 1st of May we already had the production set up. So it was very much like handwork based, but anyways we could do certain batches. And then yeah, I would say that's like it's very hard to find any key learnings, because it was just too crazy. But I would say that, like, now you hear many people just complaining and talking about, like, why do you advertise the product before you actually have the product? So like, we really didn't do that. I mean, there was absolutely no chance to do anything any quicker. So yeah, it's. I would say that maybe the only advice is that, okay, if you just if the whirlwind hits you, you just have to go. That's maybe the only thing what I can say. Just to be bold and go with the wind.
The relationship with Paulik, how did that come about? And obviously they acquired 51% of your company. What was it? You seem to be working very well as a kind of startup mode with the larger company. How is that?
So yeah, it was so funny that we now just quite recently realized that we had got some emails from them already earlier, like already before we had the production. So there was somebody like who was trying to approach us, and like we were just saying, oh, we don't have time to meet you, like, because we knew that they're just going to ask some collaboration and just ask the products, and we don't have the product. Just try to understand, we don't have the product. We're just trying to set up the factory. So yeah, we had really turned them off, like no way. But then they tried again, like after a little little while, when we had the production up and running. So then they just offered, like, maybe we could still talk together, and maybe there is something that we could do together. And then they first suggested that maybe we could have some product collaboration. Maybe they could buy some of our product and put it in some of the meals or something. And then it was like, that really doesn't help. So we have lots of this kind of candidates who want to buy the product. So we will think. And then this was actually the Swedish side. And then they said, like, why don't you just set up a meeting with the CEO of the whole group, because we really think that we could maybe help somehow, like, because we really like your idea, and we think that you're a great company with the very good values. So maybe we could do something together. And actually, I would say that was happening then quite quickly. That once this conversation had happened, we really both felt that okay, yeah, this is a really, really good company. And like, we immediately felt the very, very good and positive spirit. And I would say one of the main things was that this CEO of that group, she always says, she wants to be very engineering, engineer style, in a way that she says, oh, what you see is what you get. That I'm not playing any games. I just say things like they are, and you like it or you don't like it, but that's how things are. So that was actually making it very easy. That there was no kind of circling and I maybe like you, I maybe don't like you. So it's that kind of stuff. So that was definitely making it a lot easier. And it was also that we really felt that they were really respecting us a lot, because so often, at least I have felt, that there are many big companies who are just trying to take the smaller ones, like either so that I know everything and you know nothing, or it's like, oh yeah, come in here and I can just take you down and put you into the drawer like all the previous projects, just get you out of the way. Right. So in a way, that was my feeling, that they were really respectful, and they were also really keeping this thing that, okay, we want to help you. And actually, I think this was another really nice line from the CEO. She said that, oh, it's so great that you have so many new ideas and new doors, because this company has to do something for the next 140 years. Right. Because Paulik is 140 years old company anyways.
Yes.
So
I've been prompted that I think we're pretty much out of time. One more question. Okay. Please.
Okay. Yeah. So sorry, I haven't been Slush, so I heard this story first time. But what is the role of Paulik now in your company, apart from the ownership?
Oh, it's basically no role. I mean, we are kind of like an island, just by ourselves still. Maybe in the future it could be a more tangible role, but at the moment it's more like resources for financially, and at the same time just offering what startups would need, like IT systems and HR systems and maintenance systems and sourcing systems or whatever, this kind of big things that you could take, like support functions. So this is something what we're thinking about, but basically they're not interfering to the development of the business. So definitely this is something what they have learned, that they shouldn't be putting their fingers too much into the game.
Okay, I think unfortunately we run out of time. I would like to really thank you for being so open with how you developed your ideas and how you created your network and your relationship with the company. And we really hope that it continues to prosper, which we're sure it will. So Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming.